Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Learn and Talk podcast. Today's episode focuses on one of the biggest challenges English learners face: speaking English with confidence. Many learners know grammar and vocabulary, but they still feel nervous when they speak.
That's right, Emma. Confidence is often the missing piece. People worry about making mistakes, sounding strange, or being judged. These fears stop learners from speaking, even when they understand English well.
In this episode, we'll show you that confidence is not about perfect English. It's about clear communication, calm thinking, and using simple structures correctly.
Exactly. We'll talk about practical strategies, modern phrases, and grammar tools that help you speak naturally and confidently in real-life situations.
Before we begin, please like this video, leave a comment, and tell us, what makes you nervous when you speak English?
Your comments help other learners feel less alone, and they help our channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe to the Learn and Talk podcast for more daily English lessons that connect language with real life.
Daniel, many English learners believe that confidence comes only after they reach a high level. They think they must know advanced grammar, speak fast, and never make mistakes. Because of this belief, they stay silent for a long time. So my question is, what does confidence in speaking English really mean, and why do so many learners misunderstand it? Please include useful expressions such as speak with confidence, fear of mistakes, and real communication. From a grammar perspective, explain how learners can use simple sentence structures and the present simple tense to communicate clearly. Finally, how can learners change their mindset about mistakes and still feel confident when speaking?
That's an important question, Emma. Confidence in speaking English does not mean speaking perfectly. It means communicating your message clearly, even if your grammar is not perfect. Many learners misunderstand confidence because they connect it with fluency and speed. In reality, confidence comes from clarity and comfort. Learners can speak with confidence using short, simple sentences. For example, I work in an office, or I like learning English. These present simple sentences are clear and correct. Fear of mistakes is one of the biggest barriers. Learners worry that mistakes show weakness. However, mistakes are part of real communication. Native speakers also make mistakes, but they continue speaking. Using simple grammar builds confidence. Learners can say, I am learning English, instead of trying complex structures. The present continuous tense shows progress, not perfection. Mindset is key. Instead of saying, my English is bad, learners can say, my English is improving. This change in language changes confidence. Grammar supports confidence. Using subject plus verb plus object sentences reduces stress. For example, I need help, or I want to practice. These sentences are powerful and effective. In conclusion, confidence comes from using what you know. When learners focus on communication instead of perfection, confidence grows naturally. That's an important question, Emma. Confidence in speaking English does not mean speaking perfectly. It means communicating your message clearly, even if your grammar is not perfect. Many learners misunderstand confidence because they connect it with fluency and speed. In reality, confidence comes from clarity and comfort. Learners can speak with confidence using short, simple sentences. For example, I work in an office, or I like learning English. These present simple sentences are clear and correct. Fear of mistakes is one of the biggest barriers. Learners worry that mistakes show weakness. However, mistakes are part of real communication. Native speakers also make mistakes, but they continue speaking. Using simple grammar builds confidence. Learners can say, I am learning English, instead of trying complex structures. The present continuous tense shows progress, not perfection. Mindset is key. Instead of saying, my English is bad, learners can say, my English is improving. This change in language changes confidence. Grammar supports confidence. Using subject plus verb plus object sentences reduces stress. For example, I need help, or I want to practice. These sentences are powerful and effective. In conclusion, confidence comes from using what you know. When learners focus on communication instead of perfection, confidence grows naturally.
Daniel, Many learners feel confident when they practice alone, but they lose confidence when they speak with other people. Their mind goes blank, their voice becomes quiet, and they start overthinking grammar. So my next question is, how can learners stay confident during real conversations in English? Please include expressions such as real conversations, overthink grammar, and stay calm. From a grammar point of view, explain how learners can use fixed phrases, fillers, and modal verbs like can and could to sound natural. Also, how can learners recover confidently when they forget a word or make a mistake?
Emma, real conversations are unpredictable, and that is what makes them difficult. Confidence comes from preparation and flexibility. Learners often overthink grammar during conversations. Instead of focusing on grammar rules, they should use fixed phrases. For example, let me think, that's a good question, or what I mean is, these phrases buy time and reduce pressure. Fillers like well, actually, and you know are natural in spoken English. Using them helps learners stay calm. Modal verbs help polite communication. Learners can say, I can explain, or could you repeat that? These sentences sound confident and natural. When learners forget a word, they should not stop. They can describe the idea. For example, it's a thing you use for, this keeps communication moving. Grammar supports recovery. Using the present simple tense keeps sentences easy. For example, I don't remember the word, is better than silence. Confidence is not about never failing. It is about continuing. Learners can say, sorry, I made a mistake, and move on. In conclusion, confidence in conversations grows with practice. When learners use natural phrases and flexible grammar, they sound calm and confident.
Daniel, my final question is about long-term confidence. Many learners feel confident for a short time, but then fear returns. They stop practicing and avoid speaking again. So my question is, how can learners build long-term confidence in speaking English? Please include expressions such as build confidence, consistent practice, and safe environment. From a grammar perspective, explain how learners can use future forms like will and going to and conditional sentences to plan confidence-building habits. Finally, how can learners talk about progress without pressure?
Emma, long-term confidence comes from consistent practice in a safe environment. Confidence is a habit, not a talent. Learners can use future forms to set intentions. For example, I will practice speaking every day, or I am going to join an English group. Going to sounds planned and realistic. Conditional sentences help planning. For example, if I practice regularly, I feel more confident. This first conditional connects action and result. A safe environment is a place where mistakes are accepted. Learners can say, I practice English with supportive people. This reduces fear. Talking about progress should be gentle. Instead of saying, I must be fluent, learners can say, I am improving step by step. The phrase step by step reduces pressure. Grammar builds confidence when it is simple. Using sentences like, I can express my ideas, shows ability. In conclusion, confidence grows slowly but steadily. When learners practice consistently and use supportive language, confidence becomes natural and lasting.
Daniel, many English learners say they understand English well when listening or reading, but they completely lose confidence when they have to speak. They say, I know the words, but I cannot say them. This gap between understanding and speaking creates frustration and self-doubt. So my question is, why does this happen, and how can learners turn passive knowledge into confident spoken English? Please include expressions such as passive knowledge, active speaking, and build confidence gradually. From a grammar perspective, explain how learners can move from recognition to production using basic sentence patterns, verb repetition, and the present simple tense. Also, how can learners practice speaking without feeling overwhelmed or embarrassed?
This is a very common and important issue, Emma. Passive knowledge means learners recognize words and grammar when they see or hear them, but they cannot produce them easily when speaking. This happens because understanding and speaking use different mental processes. Listening and reading are receptive skills. Speaking is a productive skill. Productive skills require faster thinking, memory recall, and confidence. Many learners do not practice this enough, so their brain is not trained for active speaking. The solution is gradual activation. Learners should start with very basic sentence patterns, such as subject plus verb plus object. For example, I like coffee. I work online. I study English. These present simple sentences are powerful because they are easy, clear, and correct. Repetition is essential. Saying the same structure with different words builds automatic speaking. For example, I like music. I like movies. I like learning English. This trains the brain to speak without panic. Learners should also speak out loud, even when alone. Speaking silently does not build confidence. Saying sentences aloud builds muscle memory and reduces fear. Mistakes are not a problem. Silence is the real problem. Learners should focus on communication, not perfection. Saying, I don't know the word, is better than stopping. To avoid embarrassment, learners can practice in safe environments, talking to themselves, recording their voice, or speaking with supportive partners. Confidence grows when pressure is low. In short, passive knowledge becomes active speaking through repetition, simplicity, and patience. When learners speak a little every day, confidence grows naturally.
Daniel, many learners compare themselves to others who speak English fluently. They watch videos, listen to podcasts, and feel discouraged because they think their own English is not good enough. This comparison damages confidence and creates anxiety. So my final question is, how can learners stop comparing themselves to others and build their own confident speaking style? Please include expressions such as compare yourself, personal progress, and realistic goals. From a grammar perspective, explain how learners can use comparative forms correctly and positive self-talk using the present continuous tense. Also, how can learners measure progress without pressure?
Emma, comparison is one of the biggest confidence killers in language learning. Learners often compare their beginning stage to someone else's advanced stage, which is unfair and unrealistic. Every learner has a different journey. Confidence comes from focusing on personal progress, not external standards. Instead of saying, others speak better than me, learners can say, I am improving every week. The present continuous tense emphasizes progress, not perfection. Grammar can support positive self-talk. Learners can use correct comparatives realistically. For example, my English is better than last month, not my English is worse than everyone else's. This shift changes mindset. Realistic goals build confidence. Instead of saying, I want to be fluent fast, learners can say, I want to speak more comfortably. Comfortable is achievable and motivating. Tracking progress should be simple. Learners can notice small wins, speaking longer sentences, needing less translation, or feeling calmer during conversations. These signs matter. Developing a personal speaking style is important. Learners do not need to sound like native speakers. Clear, polite, and confident English is enough. Confidence grows when learners respect their own pace. Comparing kills motivation, but self-awareness builds strength. In conclusion, when learners stop comparing and start recognizing progress, confidence becomes stable and lasting.
Daniel, many English learners say they feel confident when they speak slowly, but once the conversation becomes faster, they panic. They feel pressured to respond immediately, and this pressure causes mistakes, silence, or loss of confidence. In real life, people expect quick responses, especially at work or in social situations. So my question is, how can learners speak English confidently under time pressure without feeling overwhelmed? Please include expressions such as speaking under pressure, natural response time, and staying confident. From a grammar perspective, explain how learners can use short responses, simple tenses, and sentence fragments correctly in spoken English. Also, how can learners train their mind to respond calmly and clearly?
Emma, speaking under pressure is difficult because the brain switches from communication mode to survival mode. Confidence disappears when learners believe they must respond perfectly and immediately. The key is understanding that natural response time is normal. Even native speakers pause, think, and correct themselves. Learners should allow themselves short pauses without guilt. Grammar helps reduce pressure. Short responses are acceptable in spoken English. For example, I think so. Not really. Maybe later. These are complete ideas, even if they are not full sentences. Spoken English often uses sentence fragments, and that is completely natural. Using simple tenses is also important. The present simple tense works well under pressure. Instead of complex explanations, learners can say, "I agree," or "I don't understand." Learners can also use clarification phrases such as, "Can you repeat that? Let me think for a second." These phrases give time and maintain confidence. Training the mind requires repetition. Practicing fast response drills helps. Learners can answer simple questions quickly, even with short answers. Confidence under pressure comes from acceptance, not speed. When learners accept imperfection and focus on clarity, their confidence increases naturally.
Daniel, many learners worry about their accent and pronunciation. They believe that having a foreign accent makes their English sound incorrect or unprofessional, which lowers their confidence. This fear often stops them from speaking at all. So my question is, how important is accent when speaking English, and how can learners feel confident even if their pronunciation is not perfect? Please include expressions such as foreign accent, clear pronunciation, and effective communication. From a grammar and speaking perspective, explain the difference between pronunciation accuracy and intelligibility. Also, how can learners practice pronunciation without becoming self-critical?
Emma, this is one of the most misunderstood topics in English learning. Having a foreign accent is not a problem. English is a global language, and most English speakers around the world are non-native speakers. The goal of pronunciation is intelligibility, not perfection. Intelligibility means people understand you. Clear pronunciation matters more than sounding like a native speaker. Grammar supports pronunciation confidence. Clear sentence structure helps listeners understand meaning even if pronunciation is imperfect. For example, "I need help with this project" is clear because the structure is simple. Learners should focus on stress and rhythm, not individual sounds. English uses stressed content words and reduced function words. Practicing sentence stress improves clarity quickly. Accent confidence comes from acceptance. Learners can say, "I have an accent, and that is normal." This mindset removes shame. Practicing pronunciation should be gentle. Learners can repeat short phrases, shadow podcasts, and record themselves without judgment. The goal is improvement, not comparison. Effective communication is about connection. When learners speak clearly and confidently, listeners focus on the message, not the accent. In conclusion, confidence grows when learners stop fighting their accent and start using English as a tool for communication.
In this episode of the Learn and Talk podcast, we explored one of the most important and emotional challenges in language learning, speaking English with confidence. Throughout the discussion, it became clear that confidence is not about perfect grammar, a native-like accent, or speaking fast. True confidence comes from clarity, consistency, and a healthy mindset. We learned that fear of mistakes, comparison with others, pressure to respond quickly, and worries about accent are the main barriers that stop learners from speaking. However, these barriers can be reduced by using simple grammar structures, short responses, supportive phrases, and realistic goals. English is a global language, and effective communication matters more than perfection. From a learning perspective, confidence grows when passive knowledge becomes active speaking through repetition and daily practice. Using basic tenses, fixed expressions, and positive self-talk helps learners stay calm and focused. Grammar is not a weapon to judge yourself. It is a tool to support communication. Most importantly, confidence is built over time. It develops in safe environments where mistakes are accepted and progress is recognized. When learners speak a little every day, accept their accent, and focus on understanding rather than approval, confidence becomes natural and lasting. Remember, confident English is not flawless English. It is English that communicates, connects, and moves forward, one sentence at a time.